Now loading.
I've always appreciated music artists that were able to package different art forms into their music presentation and experience. Like Michael Jackson's red beater jacket, Kanye debuting his pastel jacket at the AMAs in 2008, Pharrell basically debuting his Billionaires Boys Club clothing line in the front end video. Outkast in the art of storytelling video were just having fun, expressing themselves through fashion. As Kendrick continued to grow with each album, musically, creatively, and culturally, the Damn album was the album where Kendrick began to really embrace his fashion style a lot more, making it part of his music experience. This was expanding his star power and adding more layers to his artistry. The Damn album itself is like a state of mind type album, and this was where Kendrick was starting to display more of his self-expression beyond the music. So the Damn era is where Kendrick embraced his alter ego, Kung Fu Kenny, aka the Black Turtle. This was the era of self-expression and imagination for Kendrick. He wore black and white wushu style uniform at Coachella and also on tour, as well as wearing yellow and red tracksuits on tour, inspired by the jumpsuit worn by Bruce Lee in his final film, Game of Death. This also basically led to his dojo influenced Cortezes. This era was Kendrick experimenting with his style and actively finding ways to reinvent himself as an artist. This character that he created, along with just the look, added more layers to the Damn album. During this era, Kendrick's look and theme was inspired by martial arts and just the whole idea of mastering skills and oneself. It helped his fans to buy into Kendrick's pursuit of self-development and excellence. The low spinning sweep kicks from Kung Fu were mirrored in breakdancing. Breakdancing being one of the key pillars of hip hop, which makes this direction by Kendrick make sense. At the 2017 VMAs, whilst being photographed, Kendrick was seen wearing a black tie jacket, a comic book print shirt from Prada's Spring 2018 collection, white Nike Cortezes, and a chrome hearts necklace. He had one of his greatest live performances, the 2017 VMAs, where he performed DNA and Humble, and he wore an all-red tracksuit, which included a do-rag, a white t-shirt, puffer jacket, bottoms, and white Nike Cortezes. And you could really tell during this performance, Kendrick was becoming way more comfortable with his own style, fashion-wise, and his visuals were developing and growing more organically during this period. Nike Cortezes became footwear of choice that year for Kendrick, and that included during the Rich the Kid's New Freezer video. Growing up, Martine Rose, surrounded by a melting pot of subcultures in South London involving the rave and reggae scenes of the 90s. And her interactions with different communities continued to inspire the aesthetic, her clothing, and just the direction of her overall brand. In 2003, a year after graduating from Middlesex University, Martine set up her label, LMNOP, the following year with Tamara Rothstein. After pivoting away from that particular project, Rose launched the Martine Rose brand, the menswear shirt label, back in 2007, where Martine showcased a debut collection of 10 shirts at a Blacks Private Members Club in Soho. Martine gained support from Fashion East for an installation of the first menswear day at London Fashion Week, and then received sponsorship from British Fashion Council. Martine showcased her SS13 collection, the first London collections. In 2015, Demna brought Martine Rose on board at Balenciaga as a menswear consultant, which gave her more visibility and was a stepping stone for the vision that she was already building for her own brand. In 2017, Martine Rose was nominated for the Andam Prize for Emerging Designers and shortlisted for the LVMH Prize. Martine Rose has collaborated with brands such as Bintrill, Timberland, and Caterpillar. As a menswear designer, Martine Rose draws inspiration from her experiences and interests in rave, hip-hop, and various other musical subcultures. Martine Rose has definitely had a big impact on football fashion. So after the Damn era, Kendrick went on to put out the Black Panther soundtrack. He was an executive producer and appeared on several songs on the album. He then took a break and went on a hiatus.
When you're in music, and everybody knows this, the years are always cut in half because we always have something to do. You know, whether we're in the studio for 4 months, that go by. Or now you gotta go on the road for 5 months, that go by. Next thing you know, 5 years gonna went by. And you're 29 years old, you know? And for me now, I have to find a way to understand the space that I'm in and how I'm feeling at the moment. Because if I don't, it's going to zoom. I know, I can feel, you know, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It just goes, you know, and then you miss out on your moment because you were so in the moment, you didn't know the moment was going on. If that makes sense.
And I think during this time, it probably gave him time to recharge and develop ideas for the next album, the next stage of his life, as well as just brainstorming what his visuals and overall look would be like. But in order for him to do that, I imagine he'd have to just have time for himself to live and take a break from the busyness of just being a music artist that's on tour, that's putting out albums. I think Kendrick and Martine are quite similar in the sense that they both are quite mysterious individuals. They're not readily seen. I think after the Black Panther soundtrack, that's when we saw Kendrick become even more mysterious as an artist. He was less active on social media, but that actually strengthened his brand and the value of it. People were in demand for music, and he would only appear when he was delivering something of value. It also helps to have a great fan page that keeps his fans up to date with all Kendrick related things. Rose is not really in the public often. She probably has more mystique than Kendrick. She's visible when she needs to be.
My name is Martine Rose and I'm a menswear designer based in London, and for the past 2 years we've been working with Nike on this special collaboration.
And this is where the collaboration made sense, not just musically, not just culturally, not just creatively, but also in terms of how they connect with the world and how often they allow themselves to be accessible and available to the world. And as Kendrick's passion and interest in fashion continued to grow, she was the person that he wanted to connect with in order to further develop his own connection with fashion and his own personal style also. The Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers era has been a more mature era for Kendrick, but also way more expressive, open, and experimental. A double album with not many traditional radio hits, more so cultural hits. Kodak providing narration throughout various parts of the album. Another person who is expressive and open about his perspective, his principles, his ideas. Both Geminis too. This album is Kendrick providing a summary of his life experiences up to this point. It's a therapy album, looking at various topics that have affected him earlier in his life, but also in this current period of his life too. Weeding out his weaknesses and toxic behaviors, identifying their origin. He's maturing as a person and as an artist, becoming a father and embracing life more, finding and creating enjoyment in his own way. You can say that Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers is like a combination of the themes of some of his previous albums. So, Good Kid, Mad City, that was a state of nostalgia. Mr. Morale explores memorable experiences from his childhood, including trauma. To Pimp a Butterfly was a state of time. On Mr. Morale, Kendrick addresses the impact of cancel culture in today's time. Damn was a state of mind. On Mr. Morale, Kendrick analyzes and reflects on his flaws, weaknesses, but also acknowledges his strengths too. Even at the end of the album, he acknowledges that despite the demands from the outside world, he needs to put himself first. Kendrick's Moodboard that he revealed was interesting because it showed the different pieces and ideas of Martine Rose's pieces. The Moodboard also showed his influences as far as style. Tupac's looks, Eazy-E's looks, and the Compton Cowboys, a group of black horse riders bringing communities together to change perceptions of Compton and its inner city youth. A creative partnership between Kendrick and Martine Rose for the Mr. Morale and the Big Stepper store was born. Key pieces that were displayed on this mood board included a black leather jacket with the words "Okay Llama," his nickname for the Big Steppers era, where Okla refers to people and Ma refers to just addressing someone. And when you put those two together, it just means my people. Also shown was a pair of leather trousers, metal buckles on the sides, a black hoodie with the designer's scripted logo. Kendrick referred to this creative partnership with Martine Rose as a bucket list moment. So in this partnership, Kendrick and Martine Rose do pull from references from different parts of the world, with Kendrick being from California and with Martine Rose being from London. But they're definitely on the same wavelength when it comes to music artists and communities that they draw inspiration from. I think this mood board was important. It also just gave people a better idea of how the pieces during the tour came together, as well as providing a snapshot of just the nature of the collaboration and the creative interactions between Kendrick and Martine Rose. These are two individuals that are super mysterious and aren't necessarily readily accessible and available to the world and to the public. So in a way, Kendrick tapped into Martine Rose's world creatively, and she was his muse in the sense that he used her creative world as a platform to express and explore his curiosity for fashion and different styles that he wanted to experiment with during this Big Steppers era.
Are you venturing into the fashion industry, and is Kim going to be a muse?
Am I venturing into the fashion industry? Come on. Did you see this cup?
And Kendrick has continued to show various archive style photo dumps of his current taste level as far as fashion is concerned, displaying various clothing, footwear and accessories, notably a Michael Jackson late 80s bad era look, which was inspiration for his Big Steppers tour. As far as the leather trousers and the belt buckle that MJ would wear during the bad era. He also showed Tupac's brown leather vest look. This is via his archive page, Jojo Ruski. Again, this is Kendrick giving us insight into his taste level, into his style, his interests, the types of aesthetic that he's interested in, and also where he's getting inspiration from, and how he's using that to develop new ideas for visuals and concepts. And these recent archive-style photo dumps have provided indications of what's yet to come from Kendrick creatively and visually. The creative partnership between Kendrick and Martine Rose has continued well beyond the Big Steppers tour. And when Kendrick accepted his Best Rap Album Grammy Award this year, he was fitted in a signature full winter 2023 Martine Rose look, a sportswear and formal look, wearing a baby blue and navy track jacket, a pinstripe suit shirt, and a pattern tie, as well as a pair of simple gray suit trousers, and completing the look with the Nike Shox MR4s. Going back to the Mr. Moran Big Steppers tour, it felt like a modern day Motown show, drawing from the showmanship of the Supremes, the Temptations, Marvin Gaye, the Miracles, etc. There was so much energy, and it just felt like a big celebration. The clothing and the attire just added to the whole experience of the actual show. Not just Kendrick, it also included the dancers as well. I think during this Mr. Moran and the Big Steppers era, I think Kendrick has definitely expressed himself through fashion a lot more, even performing at Virgil's last fashion show during the LV SS23 show. I think that was an indication of Kendrick really immersing himself within the fashion world and definitely making fashion a key element of his artistry and his creative expression and just overall delivery. Even in the Hillbilly song with Baby Keem, he talks about wanting to be the best dressed. Also, you can tell that there's a need for him to just use fashion and dressing up as a way to just have fun and express himself. The fact that he wants to be the best dressed shows that Kendrick is continuing to expand his music presentation and overall creative offering, where he is packaging different art forms within his music. So far, the PG Lang era has displayed a version of Kendrick that is paying more attention to art forms and vehicles outside of music, but also bringing those art forms into music at the same time. Day 3 directed the Count Me Out video. He directed the Big Steppers tour Live from Paris show. He directed the We Cried Together short film, N95 video, and the Hard Part 5 video. These are some of the key videos and visuals from the Mr. Moran and the Big Steppers era that Day 3 has directed and been behind. Day 3 directed the Family Ties video with Baby Keem and Kendrick. And from previous eras, Day 3 directed the Element video, and he directed the Poetic Justice and Backseat Freestyle videos. Baby Keem's influence on Kendrick has been important because he's essentially been showing Kendrick the importance of still having fun and not taking himself too serious, maintaining his childlike curiosity and continuing to be creative and experiment with different things. I think Baby Keem has shown Kendrick there's a time and a place to create music that has a message and that has layers and that has depth, but then there's also a time and a place to make music that's just fun, playful, and just strictly based on feeling and experiences. And I think the Hillbilly song is an example of that. But then also on tour as well. When they performed on tour, I think Baby Keem brought the youthful side out of Kendrick. Through their respective paths, this collaboration between Kendrick and Martine Rose has created Kendrick's Moodboard / archive era.